Even your speaking voice sounds like your singing voice. That's not always the case, you know?
All raspy.
Yeah. Look at me on a couch next to Kevin Martin from Candlebox.
Yeah.
It's Klinger from 97.1, the Eagle, the Rock of Dallas-Fort Worth. We're at BFD. I'm sitting next to Kevin. His band is Candlebox. And you guys have been around for a minute, man.
We have 25-year anniversary this year, man. First
That's
album.
just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I asked Jesse from 10 years how it is after all of these years that your singing voice is still so strong, yours even longer because you guys been around for a minute. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but your voice is an instrument, man.
Yeah, it is. You know, I treat it poorly. I'm not very good to it. I smoke too much, I drink too much, but you know, I think over the years of doing it, I've learned how it works and what I can and can't do to it, and I do my best to, you know, deliver the show the best way I can. You know, I mean, there's notes that I can't hit anymore, but I'll go there. I'll try. You know, I ain't scared.
We like a show, and that's what we like about a live performance, though.
Yeah, you see the accidents.
But you know what? I think I speak for 100% of the people. I like the accidents, as you call it, because I look at that as a live show. There's nothing recorded behind you, dude. The guitars are live, your voice is live, and we always have the records, which I'm a fan of just going back to and getting to know again.
Yeah, it's interesting how many people will be like, well, you know, you played that song differently live. Well, because it's live, you know. I mean,
yes.
If you want to hear the record version, you can listen to it on Spotify or wherever you want. You know, I mean, it's just part of enjoying the show. I mean, as an artist, as a musician, as a band, you know, it's your job to give the audience your very, very best. But it's also your job to have a great time, you know. And we have a good time all the time, you know. And that's a funny saying that I like to say all the time, but it's true, man. I love what I do. 25 years now I've been doing this, and I'm looking at all these beautiful faces, and I'm getting excited to get out on stage and play some rock and roll, man.
You know, we're pretty stoked for a show from you guys, which happens at 4:45. We're talking to Kevin Martin from Candlebox. It's BFD. And as you guys are taking these pictures, please use our hashtag and make some noise with it. It's hashtag BFD. Kevin, if you weren't a rock star, what else would you do? Is there another job? Like, are you a part-time welder? Do you have a wood? Are you a craftsman with wood at home? Or what else do you do? Or what would you do if making music wasn't in the plans?
Well, I do have some woodworking skills. I learned those in high school, which I don't even know if it's a class.
Shop class.
Yeah, shop class.
Shop.
I got into making furniture, and I really enjoyed it. And I would use recycled wood. You know, I'd find old pieces and make stuff out of it. So I'd probably be making some sort of interesting furniture. But my wife has a clothing line. I actually work for her now, so it's kind of interesting. I have a real job.
So you're an employee of her company.
I'm an employee of my wife, which is really crazy and strange. But yeah, no, it's been exciting because, you know, I get to use a lot of things that I've learned in the music industry about organization, because I handle all her operations. She does stuff out of Indonesia. So I go to Indonesia a couple times a year, and I handle a lot of all that for her. So it gives me a break, you know. But music, it was, I think, always supposed to be what I was supposed to do. I've been doing it since I can remember, man. My dad started me on music when I was like 2 years old, you know.
Well, we're talking with Kevin from Candlebox. You guys were cut from a pretty incredible cloth back when you guys started in like the late 80s, maybe 1990-ish. Do you ever take inventory of that and think about, holy crap, the people that we made music with, not I made music with, but all of you collectively in that part of the country, that's pretty special. And that kind of music, that format still hits so damn hard, and we all have the records from that era, man. But do you ever think about that?
Every day. Yeah, every day. It was amazing, man. I moved to Seattle in 1984. I was from San Antonio, Texas. And I moved to Seattle, and I got immediately immersed in this rock and roll scene that was happening up there. And first show I saw was Soundgarden when Chris was still playing drums. They were a three-piece, so he's playing drums and singing, which a lot of people don't know that. So that was a huge experience. And then I got to see Alice in their early stages. We rehearsed right next to them, so Lane and I became great friends. Andy Wood was a good friend of mine. And watching all of that grow, and I was still about 5 years younger in age than most of those guys, so it was a little strange to be a 16-year-old kid playing in a band next door to, you know, Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell. But the real experience was just how great those records were, you know, and the honesty and the sincerity of those albums. And I think that that's what Seattle did at that point in time, was they just brought some real sincerity to rock and roll. They didn't care. They didn't want to be superstars. They just wanted to make music. And we'd had that whole blowout from hair metal and all that stuff that I think everybody was bored with. And yeah, I take inventory every day. You know, it's a part of my life that I'm so happy was there for me. You know, rock and roll saved my life, and those bands were definitely a part of it.
I love hearing that, and I think everybody else hearing you say those words. And I think we can all agree when he's talking about Soundgarden and Chris Cornell and Lane Staley and Alice in Chains, Kevin Martin from Candlebox has a couple of those records from that same era that we still listen to a lot, that have a lot of songs that have become anthems for us. So yeah. I don't want to lose sight of that.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
I take that pretty serious because, you know, we, as I mentioned to the guys in 10 years, we all have records and songs that are sort of a soundtrack to a certain part of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's possible to take a record from 1990 and still apply that to our lives in 2018, which I think many of us do. So
thank you, man. Yeah, thank you.
How many of those? I mean, where will your newest record fit in this? And it's been out almost 2 years now, right?
Yeah, Disappearing Air came out in 2016. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fan, and I think I just gotta check my notes real quick. I know that's so lame, but you know, the record that you guys came back with in 2008, "Breathe Me In," is a song that's almost 8 minutes long. Do you know how long that song is?
About 7:56.
Okay, yeah, 7:56. I continue to listen to that. Every once in a while, like, it's just something that the long intro and the way your voice comes in, it's so melodic and like. I love that because it had been almost 10 years since you guys made a record prior to that, right?
It had been 10 years almost to the day.
What took you so long?
A legal battle with a record label, you know? That was a lot of the downside of what happened in the 90s was, you know, these labels, they started signing every single band they could.
Okay.
And then they lose sight of what started them. And we wanted to get out of the deal. It was going south really, really fast. And they made sure it wasn't going to be easy for us. So in 2006, when all that dust had settled, the best stuff was coming out. We got back together, started touring, started writing, and we've always been a band that we don't make a record until we feel we're ready to make a record. We don't make them just because we think we have to. It's just, do I have something to say? Does Pete have something to say? You know, musically, lyrically, all that sort of stuff. So that's why we only have 6 records, because it's just, we don't want to just put crap out. We want to put out great songs. We want to put out great records that people will listen to from track 1 to track 12, you know, not skip through. And I've got a million records I skip through of bands that, you know, I've bought records from, and it bums me out because there's better music to be made. Don't rush it. And a lot of those bands from the late 90s and the 2000s rushed a lot of records that they shouldn't have. They should have taken their time. But that has a lot to do with the labels pushing them.
And I think the industry is still kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's like you drop a record, you tour it for 2 or 3 years, take 6 months off, but during that 6 months, you're recording a new record, you drop it, and it's the same cycle.
Yeah.
And for bands that I like, I love that. For bands that I love, and you guys sometimes take your sweet time, which, you know what? It goes back to everything you just said. I kind of like that, because when you guys are up on the boards on your website or on social media saying, hey, this comes out. I mean, when 2016 hit, I couldn't freaking wait.
Yeah.
Because I felt like you guys had been away for a minute, and I couldn't wait to hear this new music from Candlebox.
It's a great record, man. Thank you. I love Disappearing Air.
And you're almost the last man standing in the original lineup for this record, correct?
I am, yeah. Well, Dave Cruzen, you know, who joined us in '98 with Happy Pills and was with us for those last 3 records we made as well.
Yeah.
It was really he and I. We're just the last 2 guys from Candlebox. So, yeah, it's, you know, look, musicians they come and go, and you know, Barty's got a law firm now, and Scott's got a business that's huge in Seattle, and Pete's producing bands in Tampa. So, I mean, they're all doing what they love doing. I'm just a sucker for the beauty of people, you know, and playing music live. I can't get away from it. I try.
Every once in a while, do y'all fly to the same town and have a steak dinner and a couple of cocktails?
No.
For real?
No.
Okay.
But we are doing those 2 shows in Seattle. The original band debut album. 25 years later, we're doing 2 nights in Seattle. And
do you need to rehearse for that, or do you guys kind of know your places after all these years?
Well, I do, because I've been playing them for 25 years. But yeah, Pete and Barty and Scott, they've been actually getting together and running through the tracks because they haven't played them in so long.
Right.
And we're playing it from song 1 to song 12. So Far Behind's like number 5. We'll see how many people stick around for the rest of the set.
Where are we going to see Far Behind in your set today, bro?
Yes, you will. Yeah.
Okay, good. His name's Kevin. I was going to say, his name is Kevin Martin. He works for the band Candlebox, but I think Kevin Martin is the president and CEO of Candlebox. I am so glad to have you here on behalf of the Mighty Eagle. And this is pretty cool, because I know that show day is, especially under 110-degree temperatures, it feels like 110 in here. You got other stuff to do than talk to some dipshit on the radio. So.
No, man, I love it. I love being here. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, y'all.
My name is Klinger and Candlebox.